It seems to me that one can hardly swing a dead cat around a charged political situation these days without striking the brick and mortar walls of a bakery in the process. Why is there always a bakery? There's always a bakery involved with these legal things and all this crap, people getting sued. All right, Chicago. Come on in the doors of the hilariously and appropriately named Uprising Bakery, owned for the time being anyway by a leftist activist. As you wander the aisles, allow the various chemical aromas of gluten-free and vegan-friendly to waft in your open nostrils.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with gluten-free.
Until you make it a religion, Sarah. Therefore, be careful. You get too much of that shit up your nose all at once, it'll burn you. Feel the dirt on the bottoms of your nasty feet grow thicker. Sense the unwashed layers of patchouli as they accumulate like the tree rings over your skin. In short, feel yourself becoming a damn liberal hippie. A lost soul, for whom escape from this place already no longer offers the solitude of sanity one might have gotten had one never walked through the door. Oh, and by the way, if any remaining part of you that hasn't already turned into Gollum actually likes this place, it'll be best if you make peace with that because it's going bye-bye at the end of the month. Now, business was booming last summer when Uprising Bakery held a family-friendly drag show and brunch. In fact, members of the LGBTQ plus 2A whatever community were coming out of the woodwork, so to speak, from miles and miles around to show support for a bakery that would do what that nasty old white supremacist bigoted other baker from a few years ago wouldn't do. And hey, that sounds like a nice story in its own weird way, doesn't it? Not a fan of bakers who don't want to make wedding cakes for your gay wedding? Well, here's you a resource, a shelter into whose arms you may run and fall. The only problem is, of course, that the novelty of such things wears off after a time, and at the end of the day, you're still a bakery that was willing to put on a family-friendly drag show. Now, remember, folks, it's Chicago, not exactly conservative central. Nevertheless, word got out about the drag show before it even happened, and things got carried away. Apparently, there were threats and even some damage to the property in the form of rude and inconsiderate graffiti. The owner was not deterred and had the thing anyway. And in a way, I congratulate her on that. Just because I hate the thing in question doesn't mean I don't admire someone who's not easily bent to someone else's will. Still, and all, ever since they had the thing, business has shrunk and continued to shrink. I guess there's only so many people out there who can stand the thought of eating a tofu birthday cake. And we can watch the flame of this tiny business go out, smolder for a while, and finally be still without any particular malice. After all, this is the argument that we put to the LGBTQ folks when they wanted to sue that other bakery all those years ago. If you don't like it, go to another bakery, and perhaps enough of you doing that will drive the guy out of the business. To my knowledge, that hasn't happened yet. But it seems like here it actually might. And that's the great pity, folks, because now the next time I'm in Chicago area and have a hankering either to feel like a true hippie or to both order and eat a cake that I can feel reasonably sure is outlawed in the Geneva Convention, where the hell am I going to go? I don't know. Shut them down.
Yeah, so this is not an anomaly because...
It's not an anomaly.
In doing some undercover work that I do, there was I believe it was just a restaurant. It was not a bakery, but it was a restaurant who was planning on having a family-friendly drag brunch. And I was talking to them about it as a member of the left, of course. And he shared with me, he ended up changing it. He ended up restricting it. Yes, I was undercover on the phone with him. And he shared with me, thinking that I was one of him, he shared with me that he had spoken to Anderson Distillery Bar and Grill, which is a place in Roanoke that I had gone to and exposed.
Roanoke, Texas, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, I talked to them for like an hour and a half, and they told me their sales have drastically been suffering because of the drag brunch that they did and the insistence that it be all ages. And so they just really cautioned me. And so, of course, he was saying it to tell me, as a member of the community, to make sure to not just come on that day, but come back often because he's really going to need our support.
We need you to be repeat business.
Yeah, he's like, we just really need your support after the show is when we need it. And I was like,
I mean, you really are taking your metaphoric balls in your hand when you do this. The difference there is, like here's my thing. Okay, so you're going to have a family-friendly drag show. You're going to do it. Stick with it. That's the point of what I'm saying. Stick with it. You want to do it, you stick with it. Those are your morals. That's your standards. You do it and be willing to live with the consequences.
I disagree.
No, go ahead and do it. You're going to lose.
Yeah.
The point is you're going to lose.
Yeah, well, of course. But I mean, in the meantime, in the process, there will still be children who are sexualized.
No, I understand that. But the point being is these people, that's the only way I think you wipe it out.
Yeah.
Is because they're going to keep trying.
Yeah.
It's like, basically it's an F around and find out is what I'm saying.
Right.
You're going to find out.
Yeah.
No, in a perfect world, none of them are having these things. None of these things. Because here's what we're not doing. We're not doing what happened to that baker in, where was it, Oregon? Who, next thing you know, he's on the hook for $350,000 in legal fees because he's had to go fight these guys in court. Colorado. Colorado, that's right.
Jack Phillips.
It did happen. And the same thing happened, too, in Oregon, I think, with deal, but not as big as the Colorado deal.
Well, Jack Phillips got hit twice.
Yeah.
He got hit over the gay cake, and then he got hit over the transgender cake. They sued him again.
Yeah. So he was on the hook for a lot of money. We're not suing these places that are having the drag brunches.
Right.
Maybe we should.